All right. Welcome to this wrap up of season 2 on the Clarity Shift. I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you to everyone who has been on the show, who has been listening since November of 2023 and been through all the different pivots and iterations and changes that you've seen on the show, but that you've seen in my life, and the changes that I have made personally, professionally, in business, and all sorts of things. I want to thank everyone who has shared an episode, has found me through word of mouth. Back when I didn't even know that I was starting a podcast 2 years ago, and I was just trying to find my voice and figure out what I wanted to say and say it. And through that process, through all this process, figuring out what direction my business was going, what direction I was going, and using this podcast as a vehicle. So I just want to start with saying thank you, an immense gratitude for everyone, wherever you are in the United States, around the globe, just everything. It's been such a journey, and while I will be continuing this podcast and, I want to share the next steps and all of that goodness, I do want to take time to say thank you and reflect and pause, because that's so much of the challenge, I think, is, we want to get to the next step, or I've wanted to get to the next step and figure out and be in that constantness of figuring out, the yearning for knowing, and at the same time, we're not always going to know, and we're not always going to be moving forward, and making peace with that, being able to pause enough in order to make peace. So this is that pause right before the new year, 2026, and that is not the official new year for those of us who are astrologically inclined. We know that the astrological new year is in March with Aries. So wherever phase you're in, wherever part of the world you're in, internally, externally, all these things, I hope that this can serve as a pause for all of us, be a vehicle to reflect, to just take a moment, because that's the hardest thing, I think, is taking the moment. So I want to go back and kind of recognize what this podcast started as, what it has become. So much has changed, I feel, in such a short amount of time, for myself, but then of course for all of us, and all the things going on politically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, environmentally, all the leads. It's been a lot. And I started, as I said, this journey, this podcast, this audio and visual journey in the fall of 2023 with just, this tipping point. Enough was enough. I needed to decompress. I needed to be able to just release. And so I'm very grateful that I had friends, former colleagues on my show, people of different interests, walks of life, men, women, different ethnicities, all sorts of variety and diversity. And then it became this audio podcast journey became bigger. I had people who were in business, people who were coaches, transitioning into business, who have been in business, all sorts of things. People still navigating the 9 to 5. And I started to see this kind of common thread, common fabric that weaved all of us together, which is this transition, this pursuit of freedom, of autonomy, of a lifestyle that we all wanted, which is being able to be creative, whatever that meant for us, being able to have an abundance and access to time, to our energy, to our creativity, to our source, our spirit. That was really the common theme, regardless if they were staying in a 9-to-5 or using business in order to do so. It was all about how do we understand, navigate the system, meaning the matrix, meaning work, and work not just a 9-to-5 framework, but also business and transitioning between the two. Sometimes we start in a 9-to-5 and then we start a side gig and the side thing becomes the business. Or we're in business and we haven't been in a 9-to-5 for some time, but we need it because for whatever reason, the business is slow, we're transitioning business or whatever it is. And so there's always this need, again, yearning for knowing, understanding the systems at play, the game, society, the corporate ladder, all these things. And I've had the pleasure of speaking with people who are older than me, who are much more into their business maturity. I have had the pleasure of speaking with people who work and live in other states, in other countries. And through all of this journey, this platform, this evolution, I was also able to be transparent and vulnerable, naked in a way that only friends and family have been able to see me. I got to share my story as a professional job hopper, how I paid off $100,000 of debt in 10 years through job hopping and contracting and consulting and being an employee and being in different industries and all of it. I got to share all the angles, the emotional learnings, the mental pivots, the cultural nuances, and all of this beautiful chaos, all of this learning and unlearning with the effort to help you, people like us, people like me, all of us, navigate our paths and get clear in the shift, which is what this podcast became, this title. It started with Design Plus. That was the title of this podcast way back when, because my identity was very much as a designer, graphic designer, user experience designer, interior designer, all sorts of design. And I fiddle around, play with human design and astrology, so other elements of design. But it felt so technical. And the second title became the calm bomb. Not bomb as in an explosion, although it could be seen as that perhaps. A balm as something like an ointment, a tincture, something helpful, soothing. BALM. And that felt so big. It felt not clear enough. And so then I titled this podcast Career Power Now, or something. Because I started to sense this theme about career and work and the relationship we have with work and career, but that still didn't fit. It still didn't fit. Just like trying on clothes, and when we try on clothes in different phases of the month as a woman who menstruates, there are clothes that I wear When I'm menstruating, there are clothes that I avoid because I just don't feel good. My body doesn't feel comfortable. And so I was going through this trial and error, trying on, taking it off with the podcast. And career didn't feel right because I'm an anti-career. I'm not about putting anybody in a box or putting anybody in any sort of cubicle or sticking to one industry or sticking to any one thing. Like, I am all about reinvention and evolution and curation and creation and curiosity and just adaptability and freedom and flexibility. And so after my next iteration, we have landed on the clarity shift. And that's where this podcast has been for most of its life. It was, I think, 4 or 5 months or so as Design Plus with the symbol plus sign. And then it became those other 2 things that were just little pit stops until it finally landed on the clarity shift. Because I am a firm believer in clarity in the sense of we each have to develop and find and discern what clarity and groundedness means for each and every one of us. And then also the shift towards clarity and then making the shift after clarity. So there's a shift that happens in order to get clear. And there is a shift that happens once we feel clear, once there is a sense of stability and groundedness and whatever. There's a shift of what do we do after? How are we taking action? And I liked that it felt not as technical with career or design. I liked the poetic, the intuitive, intentional words. And so we've been here, the clarity shift. And it's been quite a journey this year in 2025. I added on a day in the life series where I brought you all behind the scenes with me as I've really just threw the pasta, threw the spaghetti at the wall, and as I went on my first trip to London, first trip by myself internationally to a place I've never been, first time doing all of that and not having anybody in that country, so just big time first, and leaving my corporate jobs, and plural because I was a contractor twice this year, and how I have been continuing to shape and learn and pivot in business and showing you the messy middle, because so much of business, whether it's online or in person, whatever type of shape business becomes or work, career, people show after the fact, once they've made the money and the titles and they have the success. But I am very interested in the messy middle, in being transparent and vulnerable, and that's a big value for me. So I will be continuing to do the A Day in the Life series. It has become just a beautiful project for me to be able to share with you all what I'm working on, what it looks like, what it feels like, sometimes the ickiness, again, the chaos, but the beauty in the chaos. And that leads me to the future. And so I'm wrapping up. This episode is wrapping up 2025, but also season 2, which has been this whole year 2025. But just, again, pausing and reflecting on this whole journey of these 2 seasons. Now moving forward, I've been having some projects, some other podcast projects coming up. You may have already seen a couple of the episodes with my co-host, Sarah. Our podcast project, I'm like, say that 3 times, has been called the Capacity Conversations. And we met very serendipitously, I feel like, because I was at a point I wanted to talk to somebody about real estate for my podcast and give this approach, this other lens that I don't see quite often, especially for millennials, especially for those of us who, while we're transitioning between business and career and the 9 to 5 and all of that stuff, what does it look like to build a home? What does it look like to mortgage and to have access also to that sort of freedom and shelter and housing? And it turned out that we had so much to say to one another that we wanted to make a bigger project. And I'm so happy to now call her a friend. And we have done monthly, every month. We prepare, we then record, and it's been another wonderful project. So you will be seeing more of that in this year, 2026. If you haven't seen or observed the episodes, you will find them all on Substack. She is also on Substack. We are basically 2 millennial women, same age, on the opposite coasts of the United States, both passionate about living outside the matrix, the grid, the machine. We are spiritual, we are survivalist leaning, we are exploring what capacity means for our millennial generation, especially given the cards that we've all been dealt. So the first 2 episodes are out, or I think at least one has been out. The second one will be coming out shortly. But stay tuned. Stay tuned for the rest of that series. The other project that will be coming out soon is with another friend, Jessica. We are on the same East Coast. She is an awesome woman, human being, creating this Substack called Go With The Flow. Go check her out. If you're a woman who menstruates, if you're a person curious about women and their natural cycles, leaning into their cycle awareness. If you want to support the women in your life and you want them to know how they can honor their bodies and their cycles, and I highly, highly recommend her Substack and her podcast. I am on her podcast. We're doing a mini series together to really lean into the business work kind of lens, using cycle awareness. So how to help women and men, people, understand women's biology in a way that we can all be able to use cycles as a source of power. So I talk about work, navigating the 9 to 5, navigating business, while using the cycles and some different tips and strategies and frameworks that I've used in my personal life as a menstruating woman, someone who has had to go into an office 5 times, or hybrid or remote. I've had managers who are men, who are women. I've had 3-4 managers at the same time. And just using this perspective so that as we all continue to transition in different ways and navigate the messy middle and ultimately balance our physical, mental, emotional health with freedom and the pursuit of our autonomy and creativity. I'm so excited about the project with her. The episodes with her will be on her Substack, but I will be sharing them on mine and kind of cross propagating, cross-promoting. So stay tuned for that. And ultimately, on this show, I will be bringing on more guests, continuing the A Day in the Life series, and I strive to do more mini series. I have a lot of different topics and things that I want to delve into, and so looking for ways to organize and structure so that they're going to be like mini chapters, I'm hoping, in this season 3. I cannot even believe season 3, you all. So stay tuned for all of this podcast goodness and collaborations. If you would like to be on this show, reach out to me, either here on Substack or send me an email at theraquelsands@gmail.com. If you would like to collaborate with me in some way, or if you want to share all this work with someone, all of that is beautiful and so deeply appreciated. So at the end of this episode, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everyone, for your attention, for your energy, for being a part of this. We're all a part of this, and I hope that in any way, small, big, medium, in any way that this show, this space has been helpful to you. And I'm excited for season 3. As I said, the more mini series, so kind of delving deeper into certain subjects. Some of the things I want to cover is the history of work, the evolution, AI. I want to get more into some business topics, talking about finance, all sorts of good stuff. So stay tuned. If you also have thoughts about certain themes and topics that you'd like me to cover, again, please reach out. I want this to be a two-way conversation. This isn't just me putting things out there into the universe and not having that two-way path, that two-way communication. So please feel free to reach out to me. I hope you all have been taking care of yourselves. This has been a chaotic year, and I hope that throughout the chaos, throughout the storms, that you've had moments of calm, that you've had moments to pause, reflect, get rooted, get stronger roots, that you've had moments of community and collaboration. And I couldn't have done this without you all. I'm so excited for the next year, this next season. And honestly, I'm excited for all of us to continue to peel back our layers, to get rerouted, get unrooted. I think it's going to be a juicy time for all of us. So let's stay in this. Let's stay in touch. Let me know. And until next time, take care.